and it provides a great security. Like in Windows, all the malicious programs are generally made for Windows. So Linux is quite secure in that respect. Other than that, we have many popular distributions in Linux, which are known as distros. So the distribution in Linux is basically the different operating systems which are available in Linux. So we have something like Fedora, Ubuntu, Kali Linux, which you might have heard. So these are the distributions or the distros of Linux. Then Linux is very easy to install, and the updates are very peaceful. Like if you get an update in Windows, there is a constant nagging, like install it, like the constant notifications and all reminders are there to install it. But in Linux, these updates are very peaceful. Now we'll see what is the basic difference between GUI and CLI. Like you all must have used a Windows computer. So over there, when you just reboot your computer or laptop, you see many icons. So those icons are basically an interface to interact between the user and the application. Since those are graphical, we call it as graphical user interface or the GUI. However, in command line, we basically type some commands to interact with the application. So this is the major difference between GUI and CLI. I hope it is clear. So up till now, did you have any difficulty in understanding something? Then please ask. Hello? Or you can react a
Yes, yes.
thumbs up in the chat, like
Okay.
if you are all clear. So moving
Just
ahead.
hello.
Yes.
GUI and CLI. That one is
Okay.
explained.
Uh, 1 minute. Just like actually I've cleaned all the icons from my desktop, but you see multiple icons in your desktop, right? So when you click those icons, you get various other files and all. Like if I go to the users, I have these 3 folders. I click on it, I get many other folders. So we can basically see it with the help of graphics. Here I have this icon and all. But in CLI is basically the command line. Have you seen the command prompt, that CMD?
Yes.
So when you see this command prompt, here you can type the command to execute a file, execute an operation. But over there in Windows, we have that graphics wherein we click and we get the things. So that is a GUI and this is a CLI, command line interface. Now, is it clear?
Yeah, clear.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a doubt.
Okay.
Uh, why, if we have an operating system, why do we require kernel? Means what is the difference, basic difference between operating system and kernel? Like, what does the kernel do that operating system can't?
Actually, the kernel is the innermost part and the operating system is written above the kernel. Like it is like in Windows also we have a kernel, and in Linux, consider you have Ubuntu. So Ubuntu is your operating system and the Linux kernel is a kernel. So the kernel basically has that binary kind of things, binary files and all, which interacts with the hardware. So you can understand that by kernel.
Okay.
Excuse me. I'll actually take this question once again about the kernel. So, like the kernel is the absolute lowest level in your operating system. It's what interacts with the hardware. So the kernel has things like hardware drivers, and a loader to load binaries, etc. So Linux is a kernel that interacts directly with the hardware. Now, what the operating system is basically a set of utilities along with the kernel. So, for example, when you load your OS, there are a lot of components to your operating system. Like, for example, even things like uh, you can insert a keyboard, right? A USB keyboard. So the drivers that interact with USB are written in the kernel, and your operating system has other utilities which are needed to run. Which are essential to running. So you can think of the kernel as the lowest level which interacts directly with the hardware, and operating system is
Mm.
some sort of abstraction.
Like the
Uh,
kernel provides data to the operating system from the keyboard. Like the keyboard data is decoded by the kernel, and the data is provided to operating system for like displaying on screen or something like that, like input output.
um, you can, yeah, kind of. So basically, as a user program, so when you run a user program, you're interacting with your computer, right, in some way, and in the end, that just goes to the kernel, and the kernel makes the actual calls to hardware.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Okay, so can I ask one question?
Yes, please.
Okay, so you mentioned that there is also something similar to Linux or Ubuntu as such, similar to as kernel in Windows. So can you specify or show anything which is actually similar to Ubuntu's kernel or something like that in case of Windows? Because I
Yeah.
cannot access
So
it. Yes.
yeah. So see, here's the thing. Linux is packaged as a kernel, right? You can separately download Linux
Yes.
and create your own distributions around it. The Windows kernel does not come as a separate package. The Windows kernel is called the Windows NT kernel. If you ever heard this term, and so it basically came from a line of operating systems called the DOS operating system.
Yes.
And Windows today runs that specific kernel. So Windows has a slightly different architecture, and it has, like, you can assume it has more than one kernel, but the main kernel in Windows 10, the latest version, is called NT. And in fact, if you just randomly go around on Windows and search for some files, you'll find a lot of files called Win32,
Yes. Yes.
things like that. So Win32 is the kernel interface that Windows has to NT.
So that is purely graphical, or is that there is any kind of command line interface related
No,
to?
Windows has a command and interface as well. You can obviously interact with Windows in a command and interface, but most Windows users use the GUI, right?
Yes, yes. So
But you can,
that is the PowerShell you are talking about, right? I mean,
um,
for command line.
PowerShell is a shell. Like, there's a slide later for what a shell is, but PowerShell is a specific shell. You can have other shells on Windows as well. For example, command prompt, the
Yes,
CMD prompt
yes.
is also a shell,
Mm-hmm.
and like that, PowerShell is also a different shell. It's a way of interacting with your operating system, but it's not the only way.
Okay, okay,
For
okay.
example,
Thank you.
PowerShell is cross-platform. PowerShell works on Linux as well now.
So now,
So
nowadays it works. I mean, I actually I have not actually encountered something as kernel in Windows. So that's why I was I mean I wanted to know what
yeah,
a
it
kernel in
comes
terms
it
of
comes
Windows
with
means.
a kernel, obviously, but that kernel is not explicitly,
No,
it's
the
not a separate package.
actual reason that you have not come across Windows kernel is due to the fact that Linux is open source. However, Windows has not open sourced its entire code of operating system yet. So, like, if something is not open source of Windows, people cannot further modify and distribute it. So it is of no use to other particular users, right? So that's why Windows kernel is not that much. People use Windows because it has user-friendly interface. So that's the use. You do not poke into the kernel of Windows.
Okay, okay. So okay, okay, fine. Thank you.
Also, we usually listen that programmers like using Linux more than Windows. Like, why is that so?
It's again
Actually,
because
I
it's
had
open.
mentioned in the slide like the code is open source and it is more secure. Like you have seen you install an antivirus in Windows, or have you ever heard about an antivirus in Ubuntu, like, or any other Linux? So basically, it is more secure, and it is like they have different utilities for it. Like we can make strong servers with Linux, and the programming is done easily. Like for big files, we can easily install it.
And also to add to that, most servers, web servers run Linux these days. So it is better for programmers to like know Linux, right? So, you know, Linux is better for that.
Yeah.
If you want to
Like
be
essentially something like, you'll deploy in a Linux environment, so why not run on Linux? It'll be a more, it'll be a similar environment.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. Thank you.
Okay. So can I move ahead now? Hello?
Yes.
Yes, you can.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. So now we come to the term called shell. So shell is basically a program which allows you to run the shell commands. Like shell, you can understand it as a command line interpreter. So we have different kinds of shell scripts like chs, fish, tchs, and zsh. These are, if you can correlate it with, like you have a programming language and you have an interpreter and or a compiler, and it executes your program. So similarly, you have a shell which runs these particular like zsh or fish, these commands in your shell. So the most commonly used is the born again shell or the bash. So if you use that bash script, you can run it in the bash. Bash is a programming language which you can run in a shell. If you can correlate it with. So like in a C program, you have that a particular kind of structure of C, like a particular way of writing if else statement and all, and then you execute it in GCC compiler or something like that. You can understand that with shell. I hope it is clear. If you I hope you have all installed WSL in your Windows. Have you?
Some have installed the virtual machine. Some are working with virtual machines. Some have
Okay,
installed
so
the WSL.
like if you are comfortable with it, then fine. So like according to our installation guideline, we had told to install that WSL thing. So just type this command in your particular WSL or VirtualBox, whatever is there, and just find what is the output.
Will it work on the Ubuntu
Yes,
terminal?
like this is a Linux command, so it will work anywhere.
Run it on Linux, however you have it, or even Bash, native, WSL, however.
So the command is cat /etc /shells.
Space between space
Space
after
bar
cat.
cat.
After cat.
So I hope you all have got this output. So these are the various kinds of shells which are available in your system, and you weren't aware of it till now. So these are all the different kinds of shells. Like the most used one is the bash. And in this workshop, we are using this bash scripting technique. So there are various directories in Linux, like just as folders in Windows, we have directories in Linux. So if you can understand it by, you have a documents folder, you have downloads folder, you have pictures folder, videos folder, you have different folders for different purposes. Similarly, in Linux, we have different directories for different purposes, like /bin, /boot, /dev, /temp. So /bin basically contains all the binary files. /home contains all the home directories of a user. So if I type in /home, so this is the particular directory. Here you see /bin, which contains all the binary files. So up till now, is it clear? Like, do you have some problem in shell or?
Can you please tell me what does etc means? Like these are etc. Is it etc.? Is the full form etc. for
No,
etc?
no, actually not. Just let me check actually. Means there are different kinds of things. You can, like, generally people Google it to know the extra ones. So 1 minute.
Yeah, but actually etc came from etc. etc is, I mean, when etc was created, etc used to contain like all extra files, but now etc is used to store configurations. Basically anything that doesn't fall into other, or you can't
Yes.
classify as some other folder comes in etc. And etc is a very important folder because it contains all of these
Okay.
configurations and other stuff. So even the shells file was etc/shells.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mukul.
And I have a doubt. Yeah.
Yes,
Hello.
yes.
Yeah. Is the cell is something similar to the compiler thing? Like, yeah, told some analogy, right? GCC compiler or C language.
Yes, actually, yes. I told you it is a command line interpreter. This is not a compiler; it's an interpreter. So you can correlate it with that. And so bash is a particular kind of, you can say it is a particular type of language wherein you write the script files and you execute it in a particular shell.
Like I would like to give another correlation. Have you run Python in interactive mode? Like just type Python and press enter. Have you done that? Whoever asked it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it opens a like an interactive mode, right? Like you can type single commands and press enter, and then it will execute that command. So this is something similar.
Yeah. Okay.
So this mode, you see this here, you can run that Python codes as well.
Yeah. Got it.
Now we come to the basic Linux
Actually,
commands.
Ananya, can you just do this one? Can you do cd space slash just to show where these files exist?
Okay.
And then do ls. So slash is like the absolute root of your file system where all other files exist. So if you see, these are the
Here
main,
you have that
these
bin,
folders exist.
etc, lib, all the different kinds of directories. You can understand it like in Windows you have that downloads and documents, photos, videos, different folders you have. Similarly, like here, each directory is meant for a specific purpose, like that. So moving on, we have the basic Linux commands. So first of all is the pwd. If you
Just do CD, no? Just CD. It'll go to your home. Either
Yeah.
just no, just CD. It'll go to home.
So this PWD means the present working directory. Like if I give you an example, I am in this folder over here. So this shows me that from this PC I am in Acer, and then users, then Ananya, and then app data. So this is what can be is your present work, like where you are right now, your present situation. Like, so the similarly you can type pwd to get the present location where you are right now. Like inside home, and I am in Ananya, which is like my user space. So over there you can know yours using the pwd command. And it prints the path from the root of the directory. Like the root over here is home, and then I get Ananya, and this is my present working directory. Now you have another command called ls. Like just if I type ls over here, like initially over here, if you see this part, we had typed ls and we got all the things which are present in that slash location. So I got bin, etc, lib, mnt, root. These ls is basically used to display all the files which are present, files or directories inside that particular directory. So if I do ls over here, I'll get my set of files which I have in this particular present working directory, home and Ananya. I would recommend that you also type these commands in your system so that you can get a feel of what is going on. Now we have this special, like you can use this to find a particular kind of files. If I do ls star dot sh, because I can see I have some sh files, but if like if you imagine I have many files in my directory, so how would I get some particular kind of files to be, like if I want to search a particular kind of script file, so how will I get it? So what I'll do star dot sh. So now I get all the files which have .sh extension over there. So similarly, you can, this is an example of .pdf. Since I don't have a PDF file over here, I did .sh. So to get all the PDF files in your directory, you can do star.pdf. Star basically means that all the PDF in your directory. So the basic usage of ls is ls minus options and then path. So in this option, we can use many character flags. If I use ls minus l, then it will list me all the data along with the metadata. So if I do ls minus l, I get all the files along with the date modified, the time modified, and everything, and the type, like read, write, or executable, all kind of things. Similarly, if I want to see all the hidden files, then I can type, like first of all, let us understand what are hidden files. Like there are certain kind of files which start with dot. So if you have like dot git, if you have done the git workshop with us, then we had that git installation time, you had dot git command. So over there, .git basically shows all the hidden files present in that directory. So if I do ls minus list all the hidden files, ls and a, then I'll get all the files which are hidden. Like the ones which start with dot, which we can't see using ls minus l, because it always shows all the files which are not hidden. But if we want to particularly see the hidden files, we can type ls minus la. So we can also recombine the options. Like I used l and a. So I listed all the files with metadata. Then along with it, I want to show the hidden files. So l and a means together. We can also show the file sizes in MBs and GBs instead of bytes. We can also use this. Like over here, you get the byte size of the files. You can list it in MBs or GBs. Then in T, you can sort it with the date modified. So if I do ls minus LA and T, like all these files, but in order of their date modified. So if I run this, I will get all the 24 April files at the bottom and 25 April files at the top, which is not in this case over here. This was a mix of both the files. Similarly, if I use the R option along with this, I will get it in the reverse order. So if I do if I do ls minus L, A, T and R in the reverse order, so I'll get all the 24 at the top and 25 at the bottom. Basically, this is just the reverse of this. I just want the latest file to be at the bottom. So this is the one which I got. So there is a small exercise for you. Before that, is it clear everything up till now?
Please, can you repeat the star syntax?
Actually, star is used. Star is used to get all the files containing that particular extension. Like star.pdf shows all the PDF kind of files. So you can consider, like if I used to say ls consider I have a file named filename.pdf. So if I did ls filename.pdf, it used to list me that particular PDF. But if I did star.pdf, I got all the kind of PDFs which I have in my directory.
Adding on to that, like this star syntax basically is like pattern matching. Okay, so if you do ls p star, can you just type it, Ananya, in the in your shell? ls space p and star, enter. Yeah, so you'll get all the files.
All the files which name
That
starts with P.
yeah, so it is pattern matching.
Is it related to regex or something?
I'm not
Yes,
sure.
this is regex pattern matching. So star is in regex is the wildcard operator, right? It matches anything. So p star means p and then match anything. So anything that starts with p will fit into our, it'll satisfy our regex and it'll show it in ls. So bash has regex wildcards or supports regex. So you can do a lot of other regex, you can try other regex patterns as well and it'll match those.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
So
Also, the
this
order.
Hello? Can you repeat your question?
The order of our commands does not matter, right?
Order like for star.
Not for star. I mean for the.
I think you
LA.
meant flags. LAAL.
Yeah.
So yeah, the flags.
Yes,
Can...
actually it doesn't matter. But
I mean, there are some
Also,
cases where it could matter, here it doesn't matter. Yeah.
okay, and is there a method that where I can list out only the files which were created on 24th April? Hello.
Yeah, there is, but yeah, that
Yeah, that
requires
doesn't use ls, that uses another command called find. So
No, he wants
Actually,
files after
you
certain date.
like this is
so
not the
that
only option to get your file names. You can also there we'll see later that there are many different kind of things which we can use to find our files. So
Okay,
like if you want a date specific kind of thing, then we can use a different command.
okay, sure. Thank you.
Okay.
These hidden files can also be accessed with the wildcard.
Yes, actually,
yeah, they can. So Ananya, just do ls star
ls
dot star,
okay.
ls dot star. It'll be an interesting output. Dot star.
So all the file names which start with dot and then it matches with anything, so are displayed over here.
But if you want to list them, you should use the minus a flag. This was a bad example because it managed everything starting with dot, which also has previous like other folders. But yeah, in any case, you should use ls minus la or ls minus a to list hidden folders,
Actually, LA.
hidden files.
So, to get the hidden files, we can use this.
Okay. So this bean, these are all folders, right? They are not, I mean, tagged under the dot kind of thing. So how are they being listed?
Like
I believe that was because of the wildcard. So dot star here has a different meaning than like dot literally and star. So if you do ls dot, it will list all files inside your present folder,
Hmm.
and this matched. So this basically went inside uh, each file and read. I'm not sure why this happened. I'm not really sure of why uh, it did things this way, but you shouldn't use dot with a wildcard.
actually, if I do dot or star, then I get all the files. Dot means inside this directory I have apple num.sh, prob1.sh, prob2.sh, and dot star gives all the things including dot config means the hidden files. But the proper way to use is minus la. If I use like this, then I get all the ones which are the hidden files.
Yeah,
So
this
I
is
think
actually
this is
showing folders inside as well,
Hey,
which
that is actually you're passing multiple parameters to ls. Does it make sense? When you're saying ls dot star, you're actually passing all the folders and directories which you have in the current working directory to ls, and ls is simply running ls in all those folders. That's why you have these outputs grouped by folders, and the files in all folders are given separately. I mean, that's not regex actually. ls does not have any inbuilt regex. The regex that
right.
you're
The
seeing
regex
is the
support
shell regex.
is the shell regex, right?
Yeah,
Right.
it's not the actual thing. If you want to do actual regex, then you pipe out ls into grep.
So actually, I wanted is because many times there are hidden files. So I wanted to list all the hidden files in a certain folder. So is there any command using ls to do that? Only the hidden files, because I mean we will probably learn in this course that you will be teaching us Vim. So Vim sometimes creates some swap files. So I want to delete those. So is there any way to do it? Only the hidden files.
You can grep
Yeah,
it,
you could do grep ls
Okay.
minus
So
a
grep.
and then grep for
type it out into
hidden
grep.
file.
Okay, okay, that's the way. Okay, thank you, thank you.
Do the ls and ls dot command differ? Because ls also lists the whatever files and directories or
See,
folders.
ls
ls
takes a
takes it.
argument which is
Yeah.
the folder in which to list these files, and dot refers to the folder you're currently in. So ls and ls dot are the same. If you
Yeah.
do ls some other folder name, for example, if you do ls slash, it'll list all files under root.
or even if you do ls double dot, it will list all the files like in the parent directory, I guess.
Dot and double dot are two special file names that refer to the current folder and the parent folder.
Yeah, I get that. Thank you.
So moving on from ls, if we want to create a file or a folder, then what like a directory or a file, then what should we do? So for that, we can use this command mkdir and a file name, say fruits. So if I move, if I do now ls, I can see a fruit directory has been made using this mkdir command. Similarly, if I do catch and I use this rep.txt. Now if I do ls, I'll get a file, txt file named rep. So basically, these are the two commands using which you can make a directory or you can make a file from a command line. So I want you all to do this exercise. First of all, create two hidden files and two visible files, and then list all the files, both hidden and visible, and then you need to show the files which are sorted by date modified and the reverse date modified. So actually I have covered all these things right now, so I think you can just try it out once. I would like you all to do it so that your concepts get clearer. Just type in some command and you can show the output.
Ananya, can you please show the task once again?
Yes. So this is the task. Just try it out. If you have some difficulty, like after your time gets over, I'll just run this file, means run this exercise. But it's better that you solve it once on your own. Just tell us if you have completed it. Like,
I have completed it.
Okay, like if you can share your screen so that everyone gets an idea.
Sure, Ananya. Is it visible, the screen?
Just the VirtualBox window. You can move it up.
Is the screen visible?
No, it's
No,
not.
it's not visible.
You could maybe just tell us the command or put it in the chat. It'll be easy. It won't be a long command, right?
Hmm.
Uh, is the screen visible?
Like no, just share it once again.
Oh, sure. Share content.
Yes, now it's visible.
Yeah. Is it okay?
Yes.
Like first a.txt, b.txt, .c.txt, and .d. The .c and .c files are hidden.
Actually, you have made those files. Like, just show me where you have made the files.
Sure. I used the. I cleared the. I'm sorry. I cleared the screen. I used the touch command for
Okay,
making.
you use a touch command for files and directory mkdir.
Yeah.
Okay. Fine. It's correct. Like for the ones who are unable to do it, I am doing it once. Just for making a file, you can use this touch command. Touch 1.txt, 2.txt. Then I will create a dot. So when I run ls, I'll see only 1.txt and 2.txt because these are the ones which are visible and these two files are not visible. So now, first of all, I need to show all the files both visible and not visible. So for that, I'll use ls minus l and a. So I got my the files which are not visible over here and the ones which were visible over here. Then I have to sort it according to the date modified. So for sorting according to the date modified, I'll use the flag called t. So if I do it, I'll get the files according to the date modified, and with the reverse date modified, I'll just type r extra, the extra flag r, which just reverses the date modified. So I got this. So this should be your output. Like output may vary, but these should be the commands which you must have typed. So I hope up till now this is clear. So now we'll come to the cat head and tail part. So see, this is a cat and this is the head part of the cat. This is the tail part of the cat.
Can I
So
interrupt?
cat basically stands for concatenation.
Can I interrupt? Just a second.
Yes, sure.
I made that meme in school. That cat picture and head tail, I was the one who was posting it on Reddit. Thanks
Nice,
for the win.
nice.
Oh,
Actually,
nice.
another guy got it from Facebook. Actually,
What
like
is your
yeah,
Reddit karma after that?
Reddit is the, I mean, I
haha,
won't
yeah, I
bring
understand.
portion
It's the
into the
source
picture.
of
Reddit is the source.
ha.
Yeah, thank you. Continue.
Oh, thank you for providing this awesome picture. So if I just want to display the contents of 3 files together, I'll do cat file1, file2, file3, considering file1, file2, file3 are there in my directory which already exists. And if I do this, I'll get the output of the 3 files in a sequence. Like first I'll get the output of file1, then I'll get the output of file2, then I'll get the output of file3. But generally, people use to get the output of only one file. So we generally do cat file1 or cat file2, whichever is required by you. Then we have this head part, like it comes before. So using keeping that in mind, we can say that head generally prints the first few lines of the file which you have. And then if I use the tail command, it basically prints the last few lines of the file which you have. Now, if we want to like just print a particular set of lines from the file, I can use the parameter n. Like if I run head minus n and 15, if I want 15 lines, then if I run this, I'll get the first 15 lines of the file. So over here, I have 3 files, apple.txt, nums.txt, paper.txt. So if I want to run, means I want to display the output of these files, say apple.txt and paper.txt. So I can see this is an apple, this is a paper, because these two were the contents of this file. But if I just want to run for like a single file, I can get this output. But since these files contain only a single line, so I'm not using this head in N15 and all, because these contain a single line. You can use it if you have a file which contains multiple lines. Now we come to the echo and printf statement, like command. So this what does this do is basically it prints the stuff, and if I do, let's say, echo, say this is a doll. So this particular thing comes as output. So this is generally used to print something. Like in just as in C, we have this printf statement as well over here. So we can use this as well. If I use printf, and let's say I want to get to know my age is and percentage s, and then I use say 18. So if I print it, it shows my age is 15. Basically, this is formatted printing, and this we have used in our C language as well. The ones who had done their PDS, they could correlate it with it. So this can also be done in Bash, but most often the people generally use
I'd actually
echo
like to
to
interrupt for
print.
a second. There's also another very subtle difference between echo and printf. In case anybody noticed, did someone notice what it is in the formatting?
The new line automatically is applied to the echo.
Yeah.
Yes. So if we want to give a new line over here, uh, so as you have done in C, you know, slash n, if I give, 1 minute.
Slash n will be after the percentage.
Actually, my typing error. Percentage is slash n. So if I do this and then I give 18, so it displays in a new line. Basically, all the escape sequence which you had learned in your PDS class, and this, in the C language, whatever escape sequence we use, we can use it over here as well. Now, this is something special. So here I got my output. My age is 18, but I want this to be there in a particular file. I want to the output which is shown, I want to write it in a particular file. Then for that we have very handy operator, the greater than sign, and then you can write your file name. Like if I do echo my name is Joe, and if I put the greater than sign, so there is a very minor difference between the greater than once and twice greater than sign. The thing is that here the file is overwritten, but if we use it twice, then it basically appends the file, means the new statement will come at the end of the initial one. So if I do this in a file, say 2.txt, and so the 2.txt contains this my name is Joe. So if I use this cat command to display what is there in 2.txt, I'll do cat 2.txt and I'll see that my name is Joe is there. And considering that I want to add something else in it, my name is Joe and my age is say 21. And I'll use this double greater than sign. And then I do cat 2.txt. I'll have both the outputs over here. However, if I just do using a single greater than sign and then I run cat 2.txt, I'll see my age is 21 because this was the latest thing which I added over here, and this overwrote all the files, means all the things which was there in the txt file, and it rewrote it with my age is 21. So up till now, I hope it is clear.
I have a doubt. When you wrote "My name is Joe" in the file, then after that you wrote that "My age is 21" should be appended to it. Why did it get appended to the next line? I mean, why didn't it just start after Joe?
Actually,
Echo has an
once
inbuilt new line
initially
character,
only
right?
we saw that in echo generally the thing is displayed in new line, whereas in printf the new line is not there. So whenever I'm doing echo, by default the slash n escape sequence is working, and we are just printing it in the new line, like adding it in new line.
Yeah, okay.
So now we have this find command. This is find is basically used to search anything in your directory. Hello, am I audible?
Yep.
Yes, you're
Yes,
audible.
you are audible.
Okay, thank you. So if So here we can find any particular thing using, I have used here name. So I am finding 2.txt with respect to its name in, and I got this as output. So there is a file containing this 2.txt. So this can be used to search any particular file in a directory or so.
Why did we give the flag name?
Actually, because we are searching with respect to the name. Like name is 2.txt. It could have been something else as well, but we are using. Hello.
What are the options?
Just let me.
If you put dash name, then it means that you're finding via the name, as she said. If you put dash I name, that means ki you're finding with name, but it's not
Then
case
you
sensitive.
do like we ignore the cases actually.
You
It
have more flags like
There's
time,
minus file,
minimum, newer,
minus
all those things
directory.
that you can use to filter out your search.
Okay.
I mean, you can find with many different. It need not be name. It can be a time. Okay, I'm finding files that were modified within a specific time period. So you have different flags for that.
Okay.
You can read the man page. There's a lot of information in the man page. Okay, make a habit of reading the man page.
The man DB.
actually we'll tell about the man in the next slide, so it will be more
Okay,
clear
sure,
for the
sure,
ones who are not able to
sure.
understand now. So uh, so now also we can use this consider I want to search all the names according to the name I want to search all the text files, but I don't recollect which file I am searching. So I'll do a star and then I'll see what are the various text files which are there, and then I can recollect which was the one which I was searching. So over here, these are all the text files which are there. So now see, if you wanted 2.txt but you couldn't recollect it, but you know that it is a text file, you can use this star.txt. Now we have this grep command. Like grep command is used to find a particular word. Like you want to find a particular word inside a file, but manually checking it will take a lot of time. So what we can do is we can run this command called grep. Uh, and consider I want to search for the keyword age, and in which file I want to search, I want to search it in 2.txt. So if I run this, this age gets highlighted, and this particular line is shown. Like over here we have this age thing which I am actually searching for. And if I had something in my file, say if my like this my is in capital letter, so my, but now if I search for my in small case, like in lower case, and if I search over here, I'll see no such file. There is no such line over there. But if I use my and then minus I, so what will it do? It will actually nullify they actually what it does is it searches case wise. Like if it is in capital letter, then only it will match, otherwise it won't. So then we'll use this minus I flag, which what it does is that it nullifies the case sensitive thing of that grep search. So now if I run the command, I can see my is highlighted even though I have given my in lowercase. So this comes very handy, like in case you want to search something and you just don't remember the exact cases of the words, you can use minus I. Like up till here, is everything fine?
That word in is not required, I believe. Grep is
Correct. It's an
interpreting that as a
example.
file.
It's interpreted as a file. That's just an example that you list your files in which you want to search for.
Yeah, it should not be typed in the terminal.
Yeah, it's not necessary, but yeah, it's not. Yeah.
It's actually it was my mistake. So basically, I had
Yeah,
written
yeah,
it
I
in
got
my
it. It was there for to make the viewers understand, but it was not
yes,
supposed
yes,
to be typed in the terminal.
yes, yes.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, sorry. Thank
Just
you for
making sure for the others to know.
yes, yes. So that is why I was getting this in error. So thanks for pointing it out.
No problem, no problem.
So now we have this which command. So which is basically used to find uh, the executable location of the command. Like if I type which and ls, then I'll get the location of ls. Ls is actually a binary file which is located in bin. Ls is a command as well, but I want to know the location of this command in my system. So I'll do which ls. Then we have these three things: CP, MV, and MKDIR. So MKDIR, I have already mentioned, like to create a new directory, we use this. Then CP is used to copy the contents of one file to another. Like if I see cat1.txt, it is actually displaying nothing because there is nothing in this file. But if I want to move the contents of 2.txt in 1.txt, I can use this copy command. So what I did, I used cp2.txt and 1.txt. What I did, I copied the contents of 2.txt in 1.txt, which was initially empty. When I did cat1.txt, I got nothing, which it was initially empty. Now, if I do cat1.txt, I got my age is 21, which was the contents of 2.txt. This is used to copy things, basically. cp2.txt to 1.txt. Now what I can do, I can use this move command as well. This can also be used to rename your file. Consider I want to move 1.txt. So what I did was, initially my 1.txt was over here, but there is, if you have noticed, that when in this directory we have another directory called apple. So what I did was, this 1.txt was in this directory, and I wanted to move 1.txt inside apple, this particular directory. So what I did, I wrote mv1.txt and apple. So what it does is, basically it moves 1.txt file inside the apple directory. So now if I go into apple and then I print what the contents over there, then I get this 1.txt, which is extra, which was not there initially. So this is
What does the recursively copy all the folder means? Like, what does it mean? Can you give an example? Like, what if we don't use the flag -r?
Like over here, I have not used a flag -r.
What does it do?
If you have multiple files inside a directory and you try to copy that directory to a different location, or you can move, forget moving, just copying. If you copy that directory to a different location and that directory has multiple files inside it, then the copy command will not work. It will give you a error or something key. It's a directory. So you use the -r flag to tell it that recursively copy. Just go into each and every folder that's there in the directory, copy each and every file, recreate the folder structure at the new location.
Okay.
For single files, you can just use cp as it is. But if it's a directory which has multiple files inside it, then you use the -r flag.
Okay. Thanks.
No problem.
Okay, now we'll come to that RM and RMDIR. So what basically it does is, as you know, R and M is to, like, you can understand that it is something like remove. So RM basically removes a file and RMDIR removes a directory. So if we want to recursively delete it, then again we use that RM minus R flag. But if we want to forcefully delete it, then we can do RM minus F flag. But we need to cautiously use this RM minus RF, considering that if we use sudo ahead of this, and then if we use it, might be that your system also gets deleted. Like, this is so powerful command, like it can delete anything. So use it cautiously. So if I want to remove that rm1.txt, and then I do the ls, I don't have this 1.txt. It is actually deleted from here. Now we come to this wc and sort. So wc is basically word count actually. So if I want to count the number of characters, like if I want to count the number of characters, I can do it with -c flag. If I want to count the number of lines, I can do it with -l. And if we want to count the number of words, we can use -w. So using these flags, we can see like in our file how many characters, words or lines are there, which is like very important if you have to write an essay of 500 words, let's say, and something like that, then this is very useful. And here we also have this sort command. This sort basically does is it arranges the contents of the file in lexicographic order. But if I do -n, then it's sorts numbers. Like if you want to sort numbers, you can use this -n as well. So I think you all have means you have the setup of VS Code in your system along with WSL. Is it there? Like, someone please confirm.
Sublime text should also work, right?
No, actually,
Any text editor with.
I mean any text editor. Like according to the installation guides which we had sent, like we had told VS Code, like any other. If you know to use other text editors, then it's fine. But for the ones who are using WSL and VS Code, have you all set up your VS Code environment with WSL? Like if you are if you had any difficulty, or even now if you're having any difficulty, then let us know. So okay, I'm considering that you all are fine with it. So I'm making a file touch num number.txt. And if I use this code dot, this redirects me to VS Code. So I'm just using code dot, and my VS Code is open. So I had made this file num.txt. Now what I'll do, I'll write any random numbers, 2, 1, 3, 5,700. I have created like I have typed these numbers and I'm saving it. And then if I want to sort that particular file, say number.txt. So here we see this thing, but can you see what is the like this is not sorted actually in terms of number. So the difference is that here it sorts according to the lexicographic order. So 1 comes before, then 2, then 3, then 5. So they have sorted it in this way, but it like this is not the thing which we want. Actually we want to sort the numbers. So in order to do that, we can use it sort minus n and then numbers.txt. So now we can get the sorted order of the numbers, which is actually what we wanted. I hope you are clear with it.
Can you please elaborate whether it sorts the file itself or it just prints it in a sorted order?
No, actually it sorts the file. One minute.
Okay.
So if I do cat
No, if you just pass it with no flags, it will just print it in a sorted order. You can there are flags for
actually
sorting it in
yes,
place,
yes.
which will
Over
sort
here,
that to
this is
itself.
basically used to print this in order. But if you actually want to manipulate it, we can then use the if else or the for condition and all to sort these numbers actually. So this is just the printing way.
Or
Sorry.
you could actually
Oh, okay.
like pipe out the output of the command to the same file. I don't know.
There's a
But
dash
I
O
think you can
flag.
use minus O
Yeah,
flag
Minus O will
minus
do
O
it
use
in the
the
to
same
same.
give the
outputs in
output
other
file.
files. Ananya just tried sort minus O number.txt with another sorted number.txt, maybe two. And second parameter is another file name. Array 2.txt we already had it, so keep some other name.
Then the order should have been the other way around. You want to sort numbers.txt and output in some other file. You're doing minus O and then numbers.txt.
Okay. Can you see
Actually,
what's in
just
number.txt? Can you see what is in number.txt? I think the content got changed, like due to
yes,
our
yes,
previous
actually,
action.
yes, yes.
Uh-huh.
Because over
Refill
here,
it.
I had
Uh-huh.
printed this, so they took
I
this
think
as
refill
the
it.
command.
Refill it maybe.
Hmm. So the problem in this was that number.txt shouldn't have been there. First of all, 2.txt and then number.txt, because I want to store my output in 2.txt the number.txt. So the thing was that when I printed this, I got this as the output. Now when I did this, so it basically changed the contents of the number.txt. And now if I'm doing over printing the output in 3.txt, so it is giving me this as the output. So basically what is that we can print it in sorted order, and if I want to store the sorted order contents in another file, I can do it. But if I want to manipulate the things inside this like all the numbers over here, we can also do some programmings like using a like for loop or if else statement, and any other operators over here like can work just as in any other programming language. So we can manipulate that as well. So now we have that wget and curl. So this is like if you had attended the previous workshop based on Flask and all, then you would have noted about the terms called get request and post request and all. So for that, I'm just using like we have that LTT-KGP website. I'm using that API to display it in my terminal, all the details of the get request. So can anyone please post that link like from the senior executives? Okay, so even you can try this. This is the URL which contains the means this is the URL where we need to give the get request to display the items over here. So this is the API for the LTT KGP website. So what I need to do, if I type here curl and then I paste this and then I just put enter. So I got all the requests from this API. If you have attended the previous workshop, you would have known what is an API and all. So I wanted a get request. What I directly did is I did curl and this URL. So I got my get request in this terminal itself.
Ananya, what is the difference between wget and curl? I'm not able to understand.
Actually, wget what it does is it stores this the thing over here in a file, like you will get the downloadable part of the thing and it is there in your system. But if you use curl, it basically displays on the terminal.
Okay.
And
There are other differences as well. wget is a relatively simpler program that just sends a get request, downloads and downloads the result. Curl is a very advanced tool. You can send any kind of request, post, get, delete. You can send a lot of stuff. You can send data via command line and do other things as well. But wget is majorly just sends requests to download stuff.
So here, like I did wget and this URL. So what it did, it is saving it to popular, like in a file called popular. It has saved all the output over here. So if I do an ls and if I check if it is there, so I got one popular file. And if I display the contents of the file called popular, I again get it. So this is the difference between.
Why is the name popular? Excuse me, Ananya.
Called. Hello, am I audible? I was having some network issue, so
Did someone ask for the name?
Yeah, why? Yeah.
It's the last part of the URL.
Okay.
okay. So now, if I go to this pipe operator, so what it does is basically the output of one command is used for the another command to operate. Like we can simultaneously run two commands and get the output. So like some of the handy examples which we can show is like the man. Like,
Hello? Are you there, Ananya?
hello. Am I audible?
Yes, you
Yeah,
are audible.
you're
Ananya.
audible.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Like I was having a bit issue. So, like we have this man command where we can get all the various other things which we can do it. So, considering I want to know about a particular command, say print. So what I'll get is what are the things we can do using this printf thing, and then if I press Q, I'll quit it. So like that, we can use a man command. And like if you just forget any command, then we can also do man -f.
Ananya, just man ls would suffice. Just man ls would suffice.
Okay. So like here you can get all the different things which we can do with ls. So this can also be very useful in case you just forget any command. Apart from that, we have history and time. We can also see. So in time, we get the real user and sys times. The real time is basically all the time which requires for all the files to load, and the user time is basically the time which is required by a particular file to load, and the sys one is basically the commands which like the time it is taken by the CPU to load the things and all.
Can I say something?
Yes.
I think the real one is the CPU time. If you were to measure the time taken by all the threads, user time is the clock time, which you will measure from your watch or wall clock or something. And sys time is what the time taken by the system calls. Though that time was not spent doing any work, it was just spent like processing data from one call to another. So
You interchange real and user. Real is the clock time. Real is the clock
no, isn't it the opposite?
spent. No, user is the time the process spent on CPU in user mode, and sys is the time the user spent on CPU in kernel mode. And not just system calls, but in kernel mode. So going into kernel mode, coming out of kernel mode, all of that is in sys, and user is in user mode, CPU time. Real is the actual clock time which you would measure on a stopwatch or however you mentioned it.
I'll just confirm it with someone. Okay, thank you.
It, I mean, you can run any program in C. something that takes more time. It's just
Yeah, I'll do
run
some
time
multi-thread
sleep time.
compilation that will clear it up.
Cool. You don't need to do it multi-threaded because it's real time is obviously going to be more than user time because it preempts other processes. But yeah, anyway, I don't think that's necessary for now.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Okay,
I
so
think you need to have a script or some code to know how fast it runs. So make a Python file and evaluate time for that. Like just write print hello world and maybe evaluate using that. Like it is like just write make it now to show that. Uh,
okay, okay.
अरे Python code
Yeah,
तो
okay. You were right.
हम्म हाँ मतलब one second let me send it.
So, can I ask one question? I mean, regarding the commands used here.
Mm-hmm.
So all these commands you are typing for, let's say, ls or time or anything. So these are actually binaries which are present in the bin folder, right? Or either bin or etc. or this kind of folder. So where are the flags located? I mean, the flags are located in some binary file, right?
So actually,
The
what happens is that you take the flags as the argument variable. So in C mostly you have used, I think, int main and no parameters with that, right?
Hmm.
Yes. So there are actually three variants of main. The first variant is what you have used in your PDS. The second variant takes up the flags as a parameter. So what happens is that you will see there is a pattern called int main int argc comma char star argv array. So what happens is that in argc you will get the number of flags that you have passed, and in the argv variable you will get all the flags, and then in the main function of that binary actually that parsing is being done, what all flags has been passed, what it means, and stuff like that. So by in that way it works. And the third variant of main is that you also get the environment variables as a parameter, so you can use them.
I mean, I'm asking about where this information is written. I mean, the information of flag
It's
is written
inside that
somewhere, right?
binary only. It's inside
Okay,
that
so
binary only.
every flag we are accessing with some binary is present in that binary only, right?
In that binary only, yeah.
Oh,
The
okay,
logic is actually present in that binary.
okay. Thank you.
if you want a list of these flags, you can open the man page. But the logic to parse, read, whatever, I mean, how to handle these flags is in the binary itself.
Okay. Thank you.
So actually, what I did was I created this app.py file, and then I ran that file and I checked what is the time it is taking. So this is what I got the output. Like this is the real time, user time, and the system time. So like you can compare your programs and you can see like which is running faster in your system or which is slow, for which you need to decrease the complexity and all, like improve the complexity. So you can just check it using this. Now we'll go into variables and control flow. So basically these are the variables where like just as in any other thing you have a equal to 2 just like that, but the thing is that you need not put spaces around these equals like in any other programming language which you do. So here we don't need to add spaces in between. So this is the difference between any other variable initialization and over here. And like all the variables, like if it is like I have declared a equal to 2 somewhere, and like now I want to use it, I can use the dollar sign and then that variable name in order to use it in any other place. So now we come to the environment variables. So basically environment variable is a thing that we can use it anywhere. So if I create an environment variable, and then if I want to like it is created using the bash script, and then I export it, and then I want to use it in Python, then I can also refer that environment variable from Python as well. So this is the advantage of environment variable.
Uh, Ananya, can you please give an example of environment variable usage?
Yes,
Really help.
yes. So if I say export a equal to like age equal to 18, let's say this. And now if I do Python 3, and over here
Dot get n. env. Yeah, and just put like age and
so here I'm getting this age, even though I'm running this in Python, and
Nice.
and this was in bash, but I could access it in Python as well.
So where is this environment variable stored actually where are all the environment variables stored of the system?
Actually, if you want to use it permanently, then you can use this bash rc file. Over there you have different environment variables, you can create it, and like if I switch off this terminal, then this will get deleted. But if I want to make a permanent one, then I can use it in bash rc file.
So basically, your computer needs some environment variables. I mean, you have some environment variables by default. So they're stored in different places. So one place that a lot of environment variables are stored is a file called etc/profile, and you can put them in bash rc. You can put them in other places to load environment variables. The reason we use environment variables is we want to modify the behavior of a program. So like Ananya said, if you exported an environment variable in bash but you use it in Python, right? So let's say you want to modify how a Python program behaves based on this a value that was in the environment. So you need some environment variables by default. So if Ananya can just type export, if you just type export and then nothing else, it will list all environment variables in your uh, system that are present. So if you see, the last one is age and name that Ananya declared, and there are some by default. Is this that clear?
I typed the command if you know Ubuntu has a default editor of gedit, so I used gedit to show me the bash rc file, but my bash rc file is totally different. Like I'm not able to see my environment variables.
Yeah, it's not necessary that your bash RC has environment variables. So here's how it works. All environment variables are actually stored in this file called etc/profile. If you want to modify them, now let's say what?
Can you please write the name of the file in the chat? Like
Sure.
I would really love to explore the file.
Sure, it's called etc/profile. I've put it in the chat. So this has some environment variables. Some environment variables are loaded by programs when they run. So if you're, for example, using if you're using a GUI with Ubuntu, it loads a couple of environment variables by default. when you open your terminal, so there's a terminal session running, right? It loads a couple of environment variables. So for example, term equal to x term 256 color is also loaded by the terminal itself. It tells what color modes are supported. So some environment variables come from files. Some environment variables are created when certain programs run. Some environment variables you can define in your bash RC, environment variables that you want to persist across sessions. You can declare them temporarily using the export command, like as I showed. So there are multiple ways of creating these environment variables.
Okay, I understand now. Thank you.
So I have created a set of a little bit difficult problems in Bash. I'm posting the link in the chat. So either you can give it a try after the workshop ends, or maybe if you feel that you know all this stuff already, then you can go ahead already right now. Please check the chat. And those who are guests, Ananya, can you just for a brief moment show the chat? Please note down the URL.
Ananya, you are on mute. You are on mute, Ananya. Hello.
Does anybody have any questions? I think we missed a lot of simple questions. We moved on to some complex stuff, but if you have any questions, you can feel free to ask. Simple ones or however. Yeah.
Okay, so now next we'll move to single and double quotes in bash. So there is a different meaning when you do single quotes and when you print in double quotes. So like just do this once and you can yourself see the difference. Like if I type in this command, so if I did echo $ls, I got these things. But if I just use this single command, what I get is ls. So basically what it does is when it encounters this single quote, it considers it as a print like print statement. So it just prints this out. But when it encounters a double quote and then this along with this dollar sign and ls, then it displays the means the functions of ls are basically the output of ls is this, and it prints all those outputs over here. And here what it does, it just prints this line. So this is the difference between single and double quotes in bash. So just keep it a note of this.
What if we don't use the dollar sign? Means without using the dollar sign,
Actually, the dollar sign is used to get a means to access a variable. like if I don't use this dollar sign, then I'll just what you do in simply what you do echo hello world, just let's say this. So this and this is actually the same without dollar, but when we add this dollar, then this has a special meaning. So one of the environment variables which I had made, that was age. So if I pass this like this, age, so I'll get the name age. And if I pass this dollar sign along with this,
No needs of those
No
double
need of
quotations.
braces.
No need of double quotation.
हाँ हाँ हाँ
Mhm.
fine.
Echo dollar age would suffice actually.
so
Echo dollar.
so this just prints the age. Like if you remember, I had made this environment variable called age using export, and when I'm using this single quote, I'm just get like if I'm not using this dollar sign, I'm just getting this as a string, and over here I'm just accessing the variable and getting it, just like a formatted print you have. You can
No, but
understand.
what I'm asking is,
Dollar with brackets actually means that run the command that is inside that brackets,
okay, that was
and
that
then use that output.
that's what I was asking actually. Like without the parentheses, it's a variable. With the parentheses, it is a command.
Yep.
Yeah, so is your doubt cleared or like is there some confusion still?
No, no, it is clear. Thank you so much.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So now we come to that .sh scripts. So basically, just like any Python file or a C file, what we create to make programs, what we do is we make an extension of .c or .py in those particular files. So for writing a scripting file, we generally put this extension .sh to denote it as a script file. So if I do touch p1.sh, so it will create a script file with the name p1, and what is the utility of the script file? So for initially what we were doing is, like in the terminal we were just typing one single command and we were getting some output and all, but like if you have ever seen that when you install some package or something like that, you have multiple commands running in your system automatically. So the thing is that they have written some bash scripts and all, which will automate the task of downloading, and then those things will get reload means those things will get loaded, and your task become easier. Similarly, we have some bash scripts, if like you have the C or Python program, you have some bash scripts which you can execute using like a file name with extension .sh. So first of all, we have this line called a shebang. So what is it? Like this hash and that exclamation mark with slash bin slash bash. This is known as the shebang line. So this just tells you that now we are executing this script. Like now we have these script commands over here following. So you can use the shebang line for writing a script, and using /script, like if I have a file name called script.sh, like over here they ran a file name called script.sh. So to get the output of that file, we can use it with /script, or in our case it should be /p1. So it will just execute all the scripts which are there. So in the ones who had their PDS, you can understand it like you used to run the file in the compiler like GCC this and that, and then it used to execute the like it used to run the commands. Similarly, like dot slash it is used to run the script. And then we have this chmod plus x script.sh. So if I'll type c chmod plus x p1.sh. So what it does, it basically p1, it the chmod is to change the mode of p1 to executable. X stands for executable. Like if I don't put this command, then the script will actually not run. So what I need to do is I have to first change it to a executable file, and then only I can run my scripts. So this chmod plus x and your file name, and this dot slash the file name, and this shebang are the three important things which you need to include in your script file. So apart from that, we have this conditional operators like if else and all. So
One
the
second,
basic
Ananya.
structure.
He wants to ask something.
Okay, sorry.
I'm very sorry for interrupting. I have seen chmod used with 777. Can you please explain why
Uh-huh.
numbers?
See, actually, when she said it's to make the file executable, it was partially true, just a hand wave explanation. It actually has to deal with permissions. Ananya, can you create one another file, touch p2.sh, touch p2.sh, touch p2.sh, p2.sh, some other script, huh? And do ll.
Yes.
So
So
if
over here
ll
you
minus
can
LTR,
see
once again,
like
no, let me complete. Do ll minus LTR, na, so that I can see the last two made. So, so you see there is in the recent two files on the recent two .sh files. So there is something called rwx, and rw. So R means for read, W is for write, X is for executing. So there are basically three types of users. The first is the owner of the file. First RWX is for owner of the file. The second RWX is for the group, and third RWX is for the other users. So here we are concerned about who is executing. It's the user, owner of the file. So if you see the file that was just now created, it has only RW, and in place of X, it's minus. So when you do chmod plus X, and the file name, it gives the X permission. So it becomes RWX. Now what you have seen that 777 is, now instead of changing every time plus R plus W plus X, which is like kind of headache, they have given unique numbers for RWX. So R is given 4, uh, 2 is given for W, and 1 is for X. So if you want to give both RWX for all the three types of users, for all the three users, groups and other users, then you do 777. The first 7 is for R plus W plus X, which is 4 plus 2 plus 1. Similarly, the second is for R plus W plus X, 4 plus 2 plus 1. So each number, when you say 777, the first number is the sum of all the permissions. Suppose it was RW only. What would it would be? It would be 4 plus 2. It would be 677. So is it clear? Yes.
Yes, it's very clear. Thank you so much,
Yeah, cool.
Raghavendra.
Cool. It's a good question actually. Like, thanks for asking. Like, it clears many things.
so just like in any other languages, you have this conditionals like if else statement. Here also in Bash we can use some if else statements. The basic syntax is if and then square bracket condition one, and then this then is important, which is not generally found in any other languages. And then we have this condition two then, and then we have a closing thing for if as well. Like if it's like here it is if the ending should be fi. So this is the thing which is a bit peculiar in Bash scripting. So in order to compare strings and all, we can use these operator like equal to, not equal to. And for integer comparison, we can use minus EQ, minus GT, and minus LT. Like minus EQ for equals, and minus GT for greater than, minus E for less than. Like these for integer, and this is for strings. And like not an expression like in any other language, this negates the value of the expression. And we have like some special commands, like if we put minus n and str, it calculates the length of the string. And if we put minus z str, then the length is actually 0. Then if we do minus d file, then the file is in the existing directory, like minus c file, then the file exists or not. Like that, we have certain comparisons as well, which can be used. We
Maybe you
also,
can show an example of
yes,
small.
yes, okay. So I'm just showing one example to make the things clear. So first of all, I'll create a file with the help of touch, like touch p1 sh. Like I already have that p1.sh, so I will simply do code dot to open my VS Code. So here I have my p1.sh, which is actually empty. So over here, the first thing which I need to do is the shebang, which is the hash and this with slash bin slash bash slash bin slash bash. Then using the echo command, like if I want to like in this program, consider that I want to know your date of birth, and then I'll see if it is divisible by 4, like you are born in a leap year or not, or something like that. So consider that basic print statement, like enter your birth year, and then what I'll do using this read command, what I'll do, I'll get the input from the user. So if I use this like birth year is my variable, so using this read, I'm just getting my input, and then just for testing purpose, if it is actually working, I will just print it like what exactly is my birth year. So the birth year is, and then I can using this dollar sorry, using this dollar sign.
Okay, so can I ask one question?
Yes.
Okay, so the first line containing the bin slash bash is actually for the reader, or is there something meaning to it for the script file? Because anything starting with hash is being I mean, kind of not read by the
Is a comment. Yeah, you
Yes,
are right.
actually.
Wait,
So
I will.
actually, yeah. So what happens is that anything that starts with hash is a command, that's is a comment, that's true.
Comment.
But anything in the very first line starts with hash and then a exclamation mark is a shebang line, and that shebang line actually has some meaning. It's not for readability. It means for any kind of scripting language, be it a shell, be it Python, be it Perl, you can add a shebang line and that will say which interpreter to use. So we are specifically specifying that we need to use bash with it. So whenever you do dot slash, so see, there is a difference. So this is the interpreted language, okay? So it needs a specific interpreter. When you code in C, you make a binary that will run in that contains machine instructions, so it will directly run in the processor. But in the shell script, nothing like that happens. You are not using GCC to compile it. So it specifically needs an interpreter. And if you want to run the scripts like /p1.sh, then you need to tell then the shell must know some way, some interpreter to run that script. To provide that thing, we need to write this thing /bin/bash, so that when you do /, the shell actually knows how to run it.
Okay, so it's I mean beyond readability, right? I mean it is actually, it has some meaning. I mean it is not for
Yeah, it
a
has
comment.
meaning. It's not only for you know not only for the readers.
Okay, so it starts, so anything starts with hash and an exclamation mark is telling something, I mean telling the system to use that kind of interpreter, right?
Yeah, that
Okay.
only if it is in the very first line. If you do it
Okay.
in, like, put a blank line at the top
Mhm.
and then write it in line 2, it won't work. It has to be the very first line.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay, nice. Thank you. Thank you.
And you can, and this thing actually is present in Python also. If you have coded in Python,
Okay,
I think you're seeing that.
okay. Thank you.
Now that we're discussing the shebang line, is it correct to use bin/bash, or should we be using user bin and user environment and bin? Because the /bin is for the executables that should be loaded at boot, and user/bin is for the user space binaries. So I mean, you can use bin bash, but which is a better practice?
I think yeah, user bin is better practice, but for this thing, I don't think it will matter much.
Because /bin is for the binaries that should be loaded at boot, and you can also use user/bin/bash, but then again that has some different complications. The standard way that I do it is user bin environment and then bash that loads the user scripts and all those things. What she talked about, those environment variables and all. If you need that, you need to use user bin environment then bash, and that is the way we're supposed to write. I mean, the when I'm working, that's how I write and my friends write.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Good information. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So, uh, for the like, just to show that if else statement. So what I did, I wrote a script, and first of all, the first line was echo enter your birth year, just like any other print statement. Read birth year is just like a variable which takes your input and stores it in birth year, and then another echo is used to, like, I am printing this to display whatever I have inputted is is actually working or not. Then I'm checking like if the birth year mod 4 is equal to 0, like if it is born in an Olympic year or not born in an Olympic year. So if starts with if and ends with fi, and here we have this then, and here equal to is like minus eq, not like double equal to. Like double equal to you can use just for a comparison with strings and all, but like for integers you need to use minus eq minus lt, like that. So I have just created it.
Shouldn't there be a $sign before birth year after in if?
uh, yes, what?
I'm not able to understand. Birth year mod 4 is there, so we are considering birth year as variable, right? So according to at least the color coding, there should be a $sign, right? Before birth
Here
year. Yeah, before birth year. Because
actually what we are doing, like in the birth year, first we are checking if it is divisible by 4, and then this is operating this part, and this entire thing is contained in this bracket containing the dollar. So then it is checking with 4. So the syntax goes like this.
why do we need double brackets? I'm not able to understand that part.
actually first we are running this part and then we are enclosing it with a $, and then that is the bird here.
Okay.
If I have written the script, and first of all what I need to do is that chmod plus x in order to make it executable, and the file name was p1.sh. So this I have done, and then what I'll need to do, I'll do /p1.sh. So they are asking enter your birth here. So if I am typing 2002, so it is printed your birth here is not your birth here is this, and this is not an Olympic year since it's not divisible by 4. So this is just a simple example of script, like bash script. Like once who have done C or any other language, like just for beginners, then you can just note this thing, how what are the various kind of syntax and how it is used in a program. So next we come to the for loop, like how we can loop in scripting. So here the for loop is just a bit similar with Python, and here what we do is like for I in 1 and double dot and 5. So what it is, the basic difference is that we put here double dot, and here we have the start number and here the stop one. And if we want to increment by 2, like if I give you an example, like for I equal to 1, for I less than equal to 10, and I plus plus. So it is just like that, but here the command is 1 dot dot 5 and like that. So if I want to increase the step value by 2, so in C, I would have done like I plus equal to 2 or something like that. But here I'm again using this double dot and then 2. So this is the syntax for writing in like bash. And we can also use like seq is a variable, and then I want to find a range from I in $seq 1 to 100. So this is what I'll get. Now we also have the while loop, wherein we just write while and then some condition, and then we use write this do, and then we have something which is to be done, and then we close it with done. So so you can also explore this while loop and for loop, like as per your wish, means whatever, to the extent what you want to explore. So now we come to an hands-on exercise. So I want this to be done by everyone, that create 2 directories. One is named as C underscore codes and another is named as pi underscore codes. And then what we need to do is like loop through 6 files, like create a file while looping it, like you can loop from 1 to 6, and then you can create a file in the script only, like 1.c, 3.c and 5.c, and all the even numbered as 2.py, 4.py and 6.py. Then all the odd numbers one, that is all the C, the ones which are made like C files, they should be moved to C underscore codes, and the one which is done using 2.py, 4.py and 6.py should be moved in pi codes. So this is a small problem which I want you all, that if you can try it, it will be very helpful.
Maybe we can do it at the end after Vim is done. Like
Yeah, we are a
there's
bit
less
short.
time left, so let's get
Okay,
started with Vim and let's discuss this problem at the end maybe. Like,
okay, then okay, I'll do it at the end.
hmm.
So this was my part, and now I'll tell Shubham to continue with them. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Give me a minute.
My screen should be visible, I think.
Yes, yes.
Yep. So hi there. Uh, let's start with Vim. So what is Vim and why Vim? Vim is a model editor. It's scalable, it's powerful, and it is very similar to a language. We will go over all these points and what these words mean one by one. So what is a model editor? I don't think you may have noticed, but I don't think you have used any other text editor which has modes. Vim has different modes which has different key bindings, which lets you do different things, which makes your task easier and helps you not use your mouse or lift your fingers off your home row on the keyboard every now and then. We'll go over these modes later, but for now we will go only over the normal mode, insert mode, and visual mode. There are different modes, there are multiple modes, but we won't be going over them in this workshop. Uh, and what do I mean by scalable? Vim Vim can be used to edit small files, or it can also be used as a whole editing platform. You can ditch your VS Code or any other text editor that you use at the moment and shift directly to Vim. The, or you can just shift to Vim but not ditch them, because a lot of the popular text editors at the moment have an extension or a plugin which will help you get the Vim key bindings in your current text editor, like for example VS Code. So in a way, you would have best of both worlds. Sorry. Uh, let's go to moderator back again. Let's go to normal mode first, and let's try and start with Vim. So let's start terminal. For the WSL terminal, any terminal would work, whichever environment you are in. And I think you would have done the wget command a little while back. So it's better to learn Vim on a file rather than on an empty file. So Control R to search for the command wget, and we're going to download that file again and open that file using Vim. Okay, this wouldn't pop up on your screen, but this should be the screen that you would get now. I think I should give you a minute to download that file and start with Vim.
Put the wget command.
Oh, in the chat? Okay. I hope you have Vim open now with this file. As you could have noticed that if you start typing, for example, I just pressed G, but it didn't enter on the screen. It is because Vim starts in the normal mode. And normal mode is basically used for different movements like moving your cursor, deleting stuff, substituting text, or searching, which we will learn later. But let's start with just moving the cursor. You could either use your arrow keys, but arrow keys shouldn't be our priority, as arrow keys forces your finger to move from the home row, which is where you should be while typing. If you know touch typing, so you can use H to normal mode. You can use H to move left, J to move down, and K to move up, and learn L to move right. These may seem a little odd and hard to get used to at the start, because you may think, why not use the arrow keys? Although these save only a little bit of time, but I'm sure after you use them a little bit, you'll get so used to HJKL that you will try to use them in the places where they don't work, like in Google Docs or something. But yeah, so after learning how to move your cursor using HJKL, or just knowing how to use it, we can move on to other different uh, commands. Vim offers a faster movement with cursor because so that you can spend less time editing stuff or less time thinking about how to change things, but more time on what to change. So I wouldn't be thinking if I want to select this, copy this, and paste it here. I would just be doing it without thinking too much. So although we will do those commands later on, we can begin with 0. 0 shifts your cursor to the beginning of the line, while the $sign shifts you to the end of the line. W shifts you word by word, and word by word means different things because underscore Vim doesn't count it as a different word. Permalink URL is considered as a single word, and a punctuation is considered as a single word itself. For example, if I am here on HTTPS and I press W, it goes to colon, and if I press W again, it goes to here and goes to, as you can see, and try it out yourself. B does the opposite and goes back a word. E goes to the end of the word, as you could see. Let's get to caption using here. So as you can see, W shifts you to the beginning of the next word that there is, while E shifts you to the end of the current word. And if you press E again, it will shift to the end of the next word. This way you can move faster compared to using HJKL. Not only that, you can also, rather than pressing L multiple times, you can just write maybe, I don't know, 5L, and it will go right 5 times. If you want to go a line below, like 10 lines to 10J, it will go 10 lines below. And you can do other stuff like this. Maybe go ahead and try if you aren't already. You can split the window of the Teams and Vim on your own computer so that you can see the slides side by side. Let's get ahead maybe, because these are something that you don't just have to remember, nothing too much to think about. We could go to the start of the document using GG. As you can see, I went to the first line of the whole file. Capital G takes me to the last line of the whole file, while capital H takes me to the first line of the file that is visible to me at the moment on the screen. For example, if I go up, and for example, if I go to the top of the file again, and if I want to use capital L and capital G are different in a way that capital L would move me to the line 49, as it is the last line that is visible to me at the moment. As you can see, I pressed capital L and it took me the last line, while capital G would take me to the last line of the file. Same way, capital M would take me to the middle part of the screen that is visible to me at the moment. You can unmute and ask anything if there's any problem. Yeah, so you can not only move in normal mode, as I mentioned before, you can also delete stuff. For delete letter by letter, we use X. You can learn X or remember X by using exterminate instead of delete. So if I press X, I delete letters that my cursor is on at the moment. As you can see, I can undo using U. So U is undo, R is redo. So as you can see here, capital X deletes the word letter that is before my cursor, while X deletes the character that is under it. You can try it out yourself and see the differences. These may seem too much for a beginner, but maybe it would be easy to remember later on. Capital D is for deleting, and capital D not only deletes stuff on its own, but also takes things like parameters. For example, if I press if I press D 2 times, it deletes the line my cursor was in. Likes count is 1, but doing deleted it. I can do it again, or undo it. capital D deletes to the end of the line. But before getting to that, I want to get back to the third point, which I didn't get to, that Vim is powerful. And what did I mean by it's a language? Vim has the ability to not only use commands on themselves, but also combine them. So if I want to delete, for example, a word, rather than doing xxxxx so many times, because every word would have a different length, I can just do dw, because that was the command. W was the command to get to the end of the word. Or I can use de, it will do the same thing. You will see the difference of what dw and de does by trying it out yourself. Maybe you can try it out on caption, because it has spaces. dw would take you to the beginning of the first word and hence delete the space that was between the two words, while de would just delete to the end of the word and would not delete the space there was before that. As you can see, happy, there's a space between happy and an. So dw takes me to a, while de takes me just before the space. So just deletes happy and not the space after it. You can try a little bit on your own before we get to the next mode or next slide. You can also write your doubts on the chat if you are not comfortable enough with unmuting yourself. Okay, so now that we are a little bit familiar with deleting and moving the cursor, we can go ahead to finding. Rather than using something as Control F like you do in a normal world, we have find for the current line that you're in. For example, if I'm, let's just expand the document a little bit. Yeah. I hope the slide is visible enough. If I need to, for example, if I'm, at the moment I'm on an inverted comma, but I need to get to the another character. For example, if I need to get to the inverted comma, the next inverted comma, so I press F and then the character that I want to get to. As you could see, my inverted comma, when my cursor went to the next inverted comma there was. I could get back again, and you have to learn the difference between T and F. It would be after trying that you understand what this really means. If I do F and inverted comma, it takes me to the inverted comma itself, while using T. While when I was on T, you could see that, for example, let's get to the left of it. And using T inverted comma takes me to the exclamation mark. That is just before the character I searched for. This would be useful now because, as I told before, Vim is really much like a language. So you can, let's just ask me. I'm gonna ask you a question.
Your voice was breaking.
Whatever is in your character. Okay now?
Sahil, your voice is breaking. Is it only for me?
Is it okay? I think it should be okay now. If it isn't,
It's fine. It's fine. Yeah.
okay.
No,
Okay.
it's fine now.
Okay, so I want you to figure out yourself how you can delete the things that there is, delete this caption while keeping the inverted commas as it is. I'll give you all a minute to combine commands. You can combine the delete command and the find command to delete whatever is in the inverted commas. If you figure it out, you can type it in the chat, or maybe just raise your hand. It's just good to know that people are trying stuff on their own. I'm just gonna open the slide. Would be easier to see. I think I should show it for the first time. Okay, so
is it DT?
Let's just get
DT inverted comma.
Yep, that is correct. What dt inverted comma does is when I press D, it waits for another command that I want to give it. So I press T, I will search for a letter that I want to delete to just before the letter I want to delete to. So inverted comma is the letter I want to delete to. So I press inverted comma and it deleted the inverted comma. And why would that be? Because I was already on an inverted comma, so it went to this inverted comma. So doing it a little bit ahead should be the right approach. dt inverted comma should delete everything that there is in the inverted comma. You can do the same thing using f, but it will delete the inverted comma, as you may have figured it out yourself after trying. It is at this point that I think we should get to insert mode, because insert mode, normal mode doesn't let you type stuff. What if now that I have deleted everything inside the inverted commas, now I want to write something. I press I. What I does, it shifts you into insert mode. As you can see here below, it shows insert. This specifies that we are in the insert mode now. May not look different, but it is. You can start typing, and it's typing. Uh, and you use escape to go back to normal mode, and use I to get into insert mode. And one more thing I think I missed is how to quit Vim. Quitting Vim is done by :Q. It is one of the first doubts that people get while starting with Vim. You can either panic and also close your terminal itself, but this is a better approach. So you can go ahead and try all of these on your own and maybe tell me about it if you face any problem. What I does is that it will give me the opportunity to write before where my cursor was. What A does is it will give me the opportunity to write ahead of my cursor. So for example, if my cursor was on the comma and if I type A, as you can see, it shifts it a little bit. And now that I type, it is typing after the comma rather than before it. So if I get to comma again and press I and now type, you will see that you're typing before the comma. It is a good practice, and I recommend you to make it a habit at the moment to press escape after every time you get back to normal mode, after every time you make an edit, because normal mode is where you would be spending most of your time. And you should go into insert mode only when you are writing or want to make an edit. What capital I does is that it takes you to the beginning of the line, and what capital A does is takes you to the end of the line. You may have noticed that we had learned something similar a little while ago. Like, for example, what is the difference between capital A and the $sign? Anyone that can figure it out?
Capital A allows us to write as well.
Yeah. What capital A does is, if when you are in normal mode and you press capital A, it takes you to the end of the line and at the same moment shifts you to insert mode, so that you can start with typing just after writing capital A. While what $sign does it that you are at the end of the line, but you are still in normal mode, as you can see below, not in insert mode. If I type something, it doesn't get printed. Hence the difference between A and capital dollar. Capital A hence can be thought of as dollar and then small a, because it does the same thing. Like if I was here and I pressed dollar and then I press the A, now I'm doing the same thing that a single letter, that is capital A, does. Let's try other commands that are visible on the screen. What O does is that it takes you to insert mode and also takes you to the new line. So I can start writing just after writing O. And what capital O does is that it does the same thing, just the line above. R and capital R are important, kinda. So for example, I want to remove this underscore or change it to maybe, I don't know, dot. So I type R on the thing that I want to change, and then I type the letter that I want to change it with. So dot. So now that the whole thing is likes.count. the thing that why use R instead of getting, because this is, I didn't really go into insert mode while going using R, is because it saves time. That's it. Because you can either do R and dot, or you could go to A and then delete it and then dot. This is just a longer way of doing the same thing. So why do it anyway? What capital R does, it doesn't stop. For example, if I type R and then I type dot, and now I want to type something else, it doesn't type it, because R is just for the character that your cursor was on. While what capital R does, let's what capital R does, it keeps you into replace mode, as you can see. Although I didn't mention it before, but replace is also one of the modes that Vim offers. So if I type it, it replaces everything that while and continues on with it. So it's for more than one character, as you can think of it. Undo again. Control S doesn't work, sorry. Habit. Let's get to visual mode. Visual mode helps you do things like what you would have done. For example, if I want to do something like this, select a bunch of text, copy it, and then paste it in any other position, or select things and delete them. Although you could do this with the mouse or shift arrow key, but what is the fun in that anyway? What it does is, let's go to V, and as you can see, it says visual here. What visual does is, when you go to visual mode, now whenever you move your cursor, you will see that it's selecting the text that I'm moving over. Like if I'm moving right, it's selecting text. Now what I can do is combine visual mode with the things that I learned before. Visual mode and then delete. So deleted, and undo again. There are different ways. V does character by character, like one character at a time, while what capital V does is line by line, a little bit faster. What control V does is block. Although I've written paragraphs, it's mainly known as block. And the reason I've written paragraph is you can combine some commands. For example, let's just suppose I want to select everything that there is in the curly brackets. Okay, that is something that you do really regularly while coding. So I select, although I don't really have to go into Control V for now, V, I, and then curly bracket, and it selected everything that there was in the curly brackets. So now that I can delete, and you can paste it. There's paste in normal mode. You can type P paste after the cursor, and you can undo it, paste it back again wherever it was. And you can also copy while in normal mode. So for example, now that I've selected everything in the curly brackets, I copy. Copy in Vim is not C as you may expect it, it's Y. Y is for yank, Y-A-N-K. So Y copies this and now can go anywhere to the maybe the start of the document, paste it, or go to the end of the document, paste it, whatever you want to do with it. You can go ahead and try before we proceed, because yeah, the next topic is a little bit different. Maybe give a minute or two to try things out and ask any doubts.
Explain the VI curly bracket part. I did not understand that.
Oh, okay. So the thing is, what V does is you go into visual mode, and then I, as I mentioned before, is inside or insert, but this doesn't take us to visual mode, insert mode. It rather starts selecting stuff. So when I select VI and then write any bracket that I want. So, sorry, wrong window. VI curly brackets. So it will select everything that is inside the bracket that I mentioned. You can not only do that, you can also select paragraphs. So VIP would select everything. Why did it do that? Because this is considered as a whole paragraph. That is the main thing, this JSON. This would work on better text, like for example, if I want to do simple normal lorem ipsum or other text, we'll show you later how we can utilize block mode better, or there are there are many commands in Vim. We won't be going through all of them because even a simple task of deleting a line could be done in multiple ways. So something that I teach here now or today won't be the best way or the most efficient way of doing stuff. You could look it up on the internet.
What does exactly
But
I do in video mode? I'm not able to understand the
uh, I selects inside of whatever you mentioned later on. Inside stands for inside. So if I do, for example, if I'm inside this curly bracket, okay, the outer one. So now that I do vi curly bracket, it selects, it goes, how can I form it? Give me a minute. Yeah, so it searches outside of the cursor and stops wherever it first occurs, the curly bracket. So now that I select vi and the square bracket, it will go till I search the square bracket, which was here and at the top of the document. Few things first, and that you may have noticed that is I have line numbers. Your Vim may not have line numbers. Yeah, okay, I'm back. Vim has, there are multiple ways of customizing Vim, like highly customizable. I won't be going over plugins, but there are things called plugins which lets you customize Vim and do stuff that a lot of other text editors do, maybe like autocomplete or things like that. But for this workshop, we'll only be changing a few small things by using a file name called vimrc. Vimrc is a file in which you store your personal customizations for your user. It is mainly located in the home directory, but a lot of times it doesn't form on default. So I think I have vimrc already, because when I write, yeah, I have vimrc. So let's remove vimrc. Okay, so now I have removed Vim, and if I try to use Vim, you can see that I don't have line numbers because I deleted my customizations that I did. So we're gonna make a small customization so that it will be easier to do the things that come later on in the workshop. So we're gonna make .vimrc file using the command that you learned earlier in the home directory. If you aren't in the home directory, use cd. If you aren't, it will take you to the home directory. And then we are going to use Vim to edit Vim. There are a bunch of configurations I thought of before this workshop. Yeah, so the thing you may have noticed is we use escape a lot. We edit something, we go back to normal mode. If we have to go to visual mode from insert mode, we press escape again. And what escape does is it forces your fingers off the home row again, which does waste a little bit of time from escape to get back to F again, and etc. Hence, a lot of people prefer to remap escape key to something like the caps lock, or I prefer myself as JK. So what it would do as whenever I press JK, Vim would consider it as writing escape. It wouldn't make me go to escape again. So this is preference. You don't really have to use this line. I do. So I'm gonna write it. I recommend you all to do this right now. That is, make a .vimrc file in the home directory, open it with Vim, and write all these things. Just these 4 below, rather than the top one. I'm gonna explain what all these does. I know remap remaps the escape key into JK. Syntax on just turns on syntax highlighting. Set number shows the line number on the side of the window. like there was before on my screen. Set HL search means set highlight search. What it would do, as I will teach later on, that when you're finding things in Vim, for example, if there is a text file and I have to find my name in it and highlight every time Sahil pops up in the file, this is what it does. Set INC search is something similar to what set INC search does is, for example, when I want to search for Sahil in a text file, when I type SA, it will show me all the occurrences of the word SA in the file as I'm typing. So I don't really have to press enter after I'm done with typing. So it's a little bit faster. And as I taught you before, colon is used for writing commands when you are in normal mode. Sorry. You get to normal mode, you get colon, and then you type commands. I taught you Q to quit Vim. There's also W. This is for writing. Writing, what does is similar to Control S, saving a file in a normal text editor. But what I want to do is write and quit. So I can just write colon WQ and then enter. It will take me out of the file of .vimrc and would also save it. Now I can open Vim again as we had with the old file popular. And this would pop up because we were editing it before and went out of it. But now that you can see, we have line numbers on the side and a bunch of other things, which I'm going to show. Now that vimrc is done, let's get to search. What search does, yeah.
Can you please tell me how to save in Vim? Like, how do we save? Like, colon, what is the command?
Colon WQ, write and quit. Colon W would just write and would still keep your file open, while colon Q will just close your file without saving, and WQ does both of the things.
And what does the INC search and HL search do?
Yeah, okay, I'm gonna show you. So I'm gonna show you right now. So Vim has really easy. When you're in normal mode, you just type slash and then the word that you want to search for. For example, I saw here pop. I want to search for pop. This is what highlight search does. It shows me the highlighted for the word that I searched for. What INC search does is when I wrote P, it showed me every time the P has been in the file. When I write O, it shows PO, and when I write POP, it shows POP. Without INC search, I would have to write P and then enter, and then PO and then enter. It saves me from that. PO. So okay. I write POP and then I press enter. This will take my cursor to the first occurrence of the pop. Okay. Bad internet today. Okay, so where were we? Now that we are on the first instance, you can go to the next instance of pop by pressing N. As you can see, I am on the next time pop occurred on this word. I can go back by capital N, and you can try these on your file. You can search for any word that you want. And then let's go back to here. Okay, jump to a character, jump on a character. This will come later. What star does, as you can, I'll show you. Rather than typing the word, for example, if I am already on the word that I want to search for, that is wrap, so I just press star and it will show me the times wrap has occurred. As you can see below, it made the necessary command that was needed to search for wrap. This is regex. We are not going to get into that a lot, but using slash, you can also search for string literals or regex. Regex, I'm gonna get into regex a little bit, maybe. Dot command. Dot command is pretty fun. I'm gonna show you. Okay, so let's just hope let's just think that maybe I want to search for rap, the word rap, the word pop, and want to change pop into so what do? I go into normal mode, search for pop, enter, and then I delete the word de, go to insert mode, and then I write rock, go back to normal mode. Okay, so this is what I did. But what if I have to do it few more times? Maybe for the pop that has occurred next. What do? Do I do the whole thing back again? No, that takes time. So I press dot. Yeah, give me a minute. Because it goes to the next word that I had to go to, next search of search, next occurrence of the search that I had to do. You could try it out yourself uh, and try to change a word and use the dot command. Dot command, what does in short is just repeat the previous command that you had done, or string of commands. So yeah, that's it. Let's just take a 5-minute break and try all of this on your own, the things that we have learned for now, and try combining things before we get into substitution and macros. Yeah, those are important topics and would require a little bit of thinking. Any doubts till now? Yeah, clinical research. Yeah, okay. I think the people that had to try have already tried. Let's go into substitution. Substitution is done by control :s, and then you search for things that you want to substitute to. That is /search foo, and then change it with bar. G is from regex, means globally. You can ignore it for now or learn regex later on after this workshop ends. And the difference between percentage and the absence of it is that if I am in this line, for example, I'm in indie electropop, I press :s, search for pop, change it to rock, and I want to change it globally. Although without the percentage, it will just change pop to rock only on the line I was in. But what if I want to do it with percentage? If I do percentage %s and then search for pop and then change it to rock, and I want to do it globally, it changes every occurrence of pop there was. How can I confirm it? Search for pop, pattern not found. There isn't any pop because using percentage, I changed every time there was pop in this file into rock. Can we, is this understandable? May seem a little bit of jump before the commands that we were trying. They were mostly one-letter words, but we are writing something. We want to get to macros, although I want to first make you understand what macro and difference between a dot command could be. So dot command repeats the string of commands that you did previously, just recently, the previous command. While what macro does, it lets you save a bunch of commands or a string of commands as a variable name, for example, a, and then you can, whenever you want to use that string of commands, either other than without writing it multiple times, you can just write @a and it will play those commands again. As we can see, for example, let's work on something that is more beneficial and will tell you how useful this is. Sorry. I've prepared a thing that I want to do. Yeah, so for example, what I want to do is convert this text, which I'm going to paste it in the chat box. This text into here. So what I want to do is for you to figure out the things that we have to do in the order that we want. Just a basic guess. I know you won't be able to do it, but would be fine. For example, you can see the difference how inverted commas are gone, commas have been replaced with tabs. We have this word in the end and everything. Any guesses? It is a little hard, but it's a good example to show you how powerful macros can be. Yeah, okay. So let me tell you about the thought process that I had to go to change this into this. So what I first do is that I go to the start and I replace the first letter with a hash because we want the first letter to be hash of OCP. So I would replace this inverted comma with a hash and then take this whole word to the end, and then I will replace every comma with a tab. That is what we are going to do. And although with forming a macro, there should be a few things that you have to keep in mind, which is you shouldn't use something like X for deleting stuff. Let me delete everything. After you have copied this from the chat box, if people aren't able to see the chat box, I don't know. But those who are able to copy this and to paste it in Vim, you wouldn't be able to do it with the clipboard. You have to press Control Shift V. Control Shift V. Fuck. Control Shift V. Yep. So Control Shift V. So what we are going to do is record whatever we had to do for one line and then repeat it for every other line we have. So we're gonna not use things like X, because what X does is it would delete things. But for example, I deleted OCP, or for example, I deleted a word OCP, but it would record my string of commands as 3 times X. But I don't want that, because what if there is a word that is more than 3 letters? That would not be deleted completely. So while recording a macro, you should use commands that are more generic, like DW, because that would delete the whole word no matter what the word length may be. So let's start with recording a macro. So how macros are recorded: we go into normal mode. Just give me a second. We go into normal mode, we press Q, and we give it a name, maybe, I don't know, T. So as you can see, it will show recording @T. It will save my macro with the name @T. So the thing that we have to do first is take some measures that the string of commands that we record get applied to every line correctly. So what I want is first the cursor to get at the start of the line whenever I want to do things, because what if I'm not at the start of the line and it starts doing the commands that I want it to does through the middle of the line? That would just create some random stuff which I don't want. So 0 to get to the start of the line, we press R to replace the inverted comma that we are at, press hash, and then we have replaced hash. And you can see it's still recording till I press Q. It will not stop recording the macro. So and what do I do now is we delete everything till the inverted comma. So delete F inverted comma. And what happens in Vim is whenever you use the delete, it does the same thing as cut. As you may have noticed, I haven't mentioned cut in Vim, but delete does the same thing. So what I would do is get to the end of the line, press comma. Why did I do comma? Because because I want a comma here so that when in the end I change all the commas into tabs, I get a tab here. So now that I have went to the end of the line and I am in insert mode because I pressed capital A, I entered a comma and then I press P to paste. Sorry, P to paste, and I delete the inverted comma I am at, X. I use X here because there would only be one inverted comma left in the end. And then what I do is do substitution, S, not percentage S, because we would be repeating this macro for every line. So using percentage X would already apply this macro to all the line. We don't want that. We just want to change the first line for now. Percentage S, find comma, and replace it with tabs. Tabs are represented by \t, and I wanted to do globally, just ending the regex here. Enter. I did an enter, and now what I would do is stop the macro recording, and if you remember, I saved the macro with the name T. So what I have to do is get to the line below and press @T. What I could have done better was record the line change in the macro itself. That is, at the end of the macro, I could have just written J, because of which it would have saved me time and wouldn't have to do manually everything. What I can do now for every line is, I think, just give me a minute.
Shubham, can you please explain the flow once again?
Yeah, sure. I'll go through it. Cool. No worries. I'm just gonna undo things. Yeah. Okay. So what we do first, we get to the beginning of the line, because we cannot ensure that every time, for example, if I start doing @T here, I want it to still do the thing that I want. I don't want to get to the beginning of the line manually. I want the macro to do it for me. So when I start recording the macro, for example, let's do QO. It is recording. I go to the start of the line. I replace the inverted commas with a hash, and I delete everything till, let's say delete everything till comma. Okay, it doesn't matter. Delete everything till comma. Get to the end of the line, put a comma, go back into normal mode, paste it, delete the comma and the inverted, go into substitution, S, find every comma, replace it with a tab, and end the regex with a G globally, and then we enter, and then we go to the new line, and then we end the recording of the macro. What I did different this time was I deleted the comma 2, because of which I don't have a tab at the beginning of the line, and I also recorded the line change, that is J, in the end, because of which my macro would itself go into the new line. So now you can see @O.
But
@O.
the expected output.
Yeah, it's a little bit different, but this is harder to do, so I changed it. Sorry about that, because you would have to interchange 2 rows, 2 columns. I made it a little bit.
Is there any specific way to do it, or is there any specific command for it, or like the commands which you have taught are applicable here? Like,
I don't understand.
Yeah, I mean to say the commands which you have taught, like, are they applicable here, or there is some new commands which you have not learned that will help us to do what the expected output is?
There are a lot of commands in Vim. For example, let's just open the website I learned. I learned Vim from multiple websites. There are multiple tutorials on YouTube itself. You can see there are multiple commands. I mean, a lot of commands. Whenever you think that Vim is taking a lot of time that you could do, that you could save, there's surely a way to do it quickly. For example, there are other commands like substitute I've taught. So let's see a few more things. Format the current paragraph. So what it does is GQ and then AP. These commands are not basic, and hence I have not taught these, as there are other things, other configurations that we could go through, like spell. We can also turn on spell check in Vim. We could also go to the last misspelled word after we turn on the spell checking in Vim itself. We didn't go over that. So what I wanted to do with this workshop was teach you the things that could reduce the time you spend while moving your hand from mouse to the keyboard, but also make you interested in Vim enough to search things on your own, because I myself don't know Vim that much. But whatever I do, it saves me time, and hence I wanted all to know the things I do. You can learn regex, which will make things easier with substitution, and there are a lot of other things like buffer swap area. There visually select an entire paragraph and paste it down. You can, once you learn the basics, like for example, I want to select these lines, delete them, paste it in the end. You can figure out things on your own and uh, uh, make new macros. Everyone has a different way of doing Vim. What I did may not be the efficient way, as I had mentioned before. So if you find something on the internet, that's great. But for now, making macros can be as long as you want. So either I could have done something better, but I didn't. Maybe.
Okay. Yes. Thank you.
The macros created are temporary or they are permanent?
I guess maybe we could check it right now. So I write the file and quit it, and then I open the file again, and it says to me swap file, and if I remember correctly, it would @o. So as you can see, even after exiting the file, the macro is still saved, which is here, the macro that the last command of the macro substitution. There are also different commands, like I have to repeat macro. For now, I showed you just repeating macro for each line, which is not really that efficient. What if I want to repeat it for all the lines there are? So there is a thing. Give me a second. Yeah, sorry about that. I think it's colon normal colon percentage normal @o. Yeah, so colon percentage normal @o applied my macro to every line. The problem that happened was I had already used my macro on these lines, so it reapplied the macro. So those at multiple windows that you can use, but we are not going to go with that today. This is it. Yeah, so this is all there is. Anything that you want to discuss or talk about?
Do mention Vim tutor for a moment, please.
Yeah, I
I
would
mean, it will be
actually.
beneficial to everyone.
Yeah, I understand. I am going to share the repository which we have for the instruction guidelines. There would be reading and references that you can prefer, and also the books that you can read on Vim if you are interested enough. So it's better to have it in written rather than mention it in a presentation, because a lot of people have already exited, as I can see. But it would be better for it to mention. So
just put Prem tutor in whatever resource you have, because it's a good like interactive tutorial for newcomers.
yep, I've used it myself. Yeah. Yeah. So we can. I think this is all there was for the workshop. Thank you for attending.
Another thing that I think need to point out to beginners is that don't be intimidated with all the commands that are there. Okay, so what Sahil showed is actually a small subset of what commands what power Vim has, and even a smaller subset you will use in your day-to-day life. So just begin by start out Vim by just typing your regular programs and stuff in Vim and just doing I and WQ, and then as your needs increase you will just find out the commands that you have to do. Otherwise, if you try to remember everything from the beginning, it will just spill over your head, and you'll remember nothing, and you'll switch back to VS Code. To avoid that, just go by need basis, and that will stay in your head actually.
Hey, I have a doubt regarding WSL in VS Code. Uh,
Yes, yes, please.
what I did actually, I wrote a Python code and I did a import of NumPy, and NumPy is actually installed in my local machine using pip, but I didn't install it in from bash. I'm using the Windows actually. Okay. So what happened when in the bash terminal when I write Python 3 and the program name, and it says a import error that that NumPy cannot be imported. And it is similar for every module that is installed in Windows for Python.
So
Okay, this
modules that you install in Windows will not be available in WSL. Is that a doubt? I'm like confused now.
Yes.
No, no. I
That
mean,
is
when Linux under WSL is running in a it's running in a virtual machine essentially. It's not going to be packages that you install on Windows will not be available on Linux directly. You have to either reinstall those packages or use the Windows version of Python.
okay. It's
So can I ask one question regarding file types?
Sure, you don't need to ask if you can ask a question. I guess you can just ask.
Okay, I mean, while writing the shell script, you use a extension of .sh, and so previously while using Windows, so I had some sort of understanding that if you do not give any kind of file name, file extension, the system will not going to save. I mean, you cannot actually save a file in Windows without a file extension, but that is not the case in Linux, right? So I mean, what does it mean to have a file extension? Is it for categorizing something, or does it have a actual meaning to understand for the OS?
Okay, that's pretty cool. So basically, file types are file types on Linux are not necessary as such. So for example, they saved it with let's say problem1.sh, right? If they didn't do problem1.sh and they just saved it as let's say problem1.txt, but you executed it with bash problem1.txt, or if you did /problem1.txt, it would still execute. So in this case, a file extension was optional.
Okay.
The reason you use file extensions is, and this is not generalized, file extensions are needed sometimes, but the reason that you use extensions is because they make it easier to understand what a file is, right?
I thought so previously. I mean,
Now let's come to a more interesting thing. So what Linux does, one thing Linux does, is it has this concept of magic numbers.
okay.
So each file or some files have an associated magic number. Okay, let me actually share my screen and explain. It will be much easier to understand. Give me a second. Um, is my screen visible?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So I'll share my screen. Okay. Is my terminal visible?
Yes, now it is.
Okay. So there's a command that I don't think we introduced today, but it's called file. So file basically gives details about the file that you have. Okay. So if I do file some .tar.gz, it said that this is a gzip compressed data file. Now, how does it know that this is gzip compressed? If I remove the extension, let's say I remove the extension, okay? I'll move this to a file called yo, just yo. And if I do file yo, it still knows that this is gzipped compressed data. Now, how do you think it still knows that this is a gzip file?
I mean, can it read the file contents or?
Yeah, assume that it can. Yeah, obviously it can. I mean, right. So you're close. It reads the file contents and looks for something called magic number. So this magic number tells us what the type of the file is. And when you write specific file types, for example, gzip or PDF, they write the magic number as the first couple of bytes of the file. So if I just do head minus n5 yo, you'll see there are some, you can see some ASCII text here, right? This ASCII text has a meaning. It might not mean anything here, but this ASCII text actually contains the magic number. For example, when you create binaries, let's say you create a binary using, I write a very simple CPP file, okay? Or I just write a C file that just prints. I just do printf, hello world. We compile this C file. Why is this state? So anyway, yeah. So if you see it says a.out as a file, right? Now this is a binary, but it still knows that a.out can be executed, and when I run a.out, it executed it. There's no extension, right? I can just make a.out to anything, right? Most binaries don't have an extension. For example, the binary ls. Oh, sorry, I don't use ls. Give me some other command. Sort. So this binary does not have an extension, right? But it still knows this is a binary, because the first three characters in any binary on Linux are these characters called E, L, and F, which is the type of binary that Linux understands. I'm not using Linux right now, so it's not ELF, but otherwise on Linux it would have said ELF binary. So Linux does not need file types always, because number one, file types are mostly for users to understand what a file is. Two, a lot of these file types have magic numbers, using which it deduces the file type. And to see all of this, you can use the file command. If you do file of after any file, it'll tell you what the type of file is, what it contains, etc. So here it said a.out is a executable for architecture x86-64 because it knew this from the file content. And the number three is that file types are not optional either. It's not like if you don't specify file types, it's a good thing, because there are some programs that rely exclusively on file types. File extensions. For example, there's a formatter called Clang format that will format your code. It formats files that have the extension .c. Let's say now you can write C code in any format, I mean, with any extension. You can write C code in a file that is called random.txt as well. But it expects that all C code lives in random.c or files that end with .c. So they're not optional either. Like programs expect users to give proper file extensions, but they are not purely necessary either on Linux. On Windows, I'm not sure what is the case. I think Windows stores file types with the extension. I'm not sure of that, and I don't want to make any guesses. But to put it briefly, yeah, file names are not purely essential. File extensions.
Okay, this optional argument of giving a file type is only valid for this binary kind of thing that you said that ELF kind of notation which actually indicates what the kind of file is. This actually works for binaries or any other file types. I mean, you showed an
No,
example of
ELF is the
.ppl.
magic number for binaries.
Okay,
There are
okay.
magic numbers for. Okay, I can show you a list of magic numbers. I think you'll find a list of these uh, magic numbers. You'll find a list of magic, not physics. Yep. So, wait, no. Right. So, uh, there are magic numbers for different kinds of files. I remember using BMP somewhere. So BMP has the magic number BM. So if a file starts with the 2 bytes BM, it will know that this is a BMP file. BMP is the bitmap file format. If what's the magic number for MP3? So MP3. Okay, there's no MP3 file. Okay, anyway. So MP4 has the magic number of this. So if a file starts with these bytes, there's obviously hex when you write them. But if it's the first couple of bytes, how many of bytes these are this, we know that it's an MP4 file. ELF is a binary format. So ELF has the ELF characters itself. .elf. ELF is a special file type.
Okay. So these are for only executables, right? If I understand it correctly. I mean ELF.
You mean ELF specifically? ELF is the executable and linkable format. It's not only for executables, it's also for something called object files and shared libraries. I don't know how to put it in a simple way, but you can kind of think that ELF on Linux is machine code. So that can include both binaries and something called object files.
Okay, so I mean, thank you very much. I
I
mean,
think
these
this,
are
I'm not
very.
sure if this confused you or made it clear, but yeah, if you have any doubts, you can ask them.
No, that was a, I mean, very pretty explanation. I didn't actually knew about these things, so thank you very much. Thank you.
There is another thing called MIME types. You can look into that. It's generally used in stuff that is sent over the network to specify the file types that you are sending. You can check MIME types. There are alternate ways of finding out the file types.
Okay, so is it a command you are talking about, or?
No. Just as Mukul showed, there are magic numbers. MIME types is an alternate formulation of like this problem of finding out what the type of file is.
Okay.
So
I think
MIME,
you
like
must have
MIME,
observed when Sahil and Anya did wget, at some point it said application/JSON. That was something called a MIME type.
Okay, so yeah, so am I pronouncing it correctly? Mime type, right?
MIME, M-I-M-E.
Okay.
It
Thank
stands for multimedia or something. I don't know.
you. Okay. Thank you very much.
So can we leave the call? Is the class over? Is the workshop over for today?
Yeah. We.
Okay. Thank you so much for the workshop. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the workshop.
Thanks for attending.
Thank you for arranging this workshop.
Yeah, thanks for coming.